Congratulations! You made it halfway through 2020. So, how you doing? Hello friends, and welcome back to Pearls and Ivy. It's me, Sarah. I am on a mission to create my most magical life, and I'm taking you all with me. And today, I wanted to do a mid-year check-in. My husband and I did a mid-year check-in last year, and it was great. It was much more focused on goals and things we actually wanted to do and accomplish in our home and in our lives. But this year, I wanted to do something that's mainly focused on our all-around holistic well-being, our mental health, spiritual well-being, physical health. Just check in. How are we doing? Oh, a butterfly. So this past week, I took a bit of a mental health break. I had stayed off of social media for about 3 full days. Just wanted to check in with myself and see how I'm doing. It has been very difficult to not get caught up in the world right now with so much going on and so much heartache and pain and struggle and frustration and anger. It's very difficult to not just get sucked into it. Besides that, I'm also trying to work on actually building a business right now. And that on its own has my mind spinning. Add to that just the addictive, overwhelming nature of social media. I just needed to stop for a few days. I was feeling very overwhelmed, very confused. My mind was just spinning and I was having trouble focusing on anything. So I just shut it down for a few days, and it was a great decision. I just focused on myself, I focused on my family, I got my head straight, and I also did this little practice of a little mid-year check-in journaling thingy-mabob. And I thought that perhaps you would like to do it too. So I'm going to go over these questions that I wrote for myself. You are welcome to write these questions down, answer them yourself. You can pause the video after each question if you want to give yourself a little bit of time. But I'm also going to share my own answers to these questions because, after all, I am sharing my journey. And I think it's important to be open and vulnerable and share where we are and how we're doing with one another so that no one has to feel alone. We can all feel good in the fact that we're doing this together. But before we begin, I think it's important that we take a moment just to get centered and connect into our hearts before we begin this process. So if you can, I would like for you to close your eyes and start by taking a big, deep cleansing breath. And place your hands over your heart. And I just want us all to take a moment and to acknowledge, accept, and lovingly honor the fact that this has been a very difficult year. This year has been one of the heaviest, one of the darkest, one of the hardest years in recent history. And even though we are focusing on ourselves and our lives and our hearts, and I want this process to be about lifting ourselves up out of the darkness, about celebrating our accomplishments and our growth, it's important to acknowledge the depth of the situation we are in. It's important to validate how hard this has been for many of us, for all of us. And I just want you to take a moment to honor yourself. Honor yourself and give yourself love and grace for getting through this time, however you needed to do it. It is okay. You are accepted, you are loved, you are safe. Let's take one last deep breath. Okay. Let's do this. So, first question we're going to answer is, where was I 6 months ago? And I know it's not exactly 6 months ago. It's already almost the middle of July. So let's just, at the beginning of the year, where was I? Where were you? Where were you living? What was your situation? What was your mental health like? What was your physical health like? Were you working? Were you not working? Just take a moment and look back and jot down a little bit about where you were at the beginning of this year. Just because I think it's very important to look back and see where you started, see what the situation was before, to give you a better idea of where you are now and how far you've come. So just take a few moments and write that down. For me, 6 months ago, I was deep in my cocoon. I had just come out of one of the most difficult years I've had in a very long time. I just ended a very big, huge growth period of my life. The previous 10 years, and I had grown so much. I had no idea who I was anymore and was completely lost to any idea of who I was to become. I was shut down. I had quit my job. I was hoping to quit my other job. I had left social media for a while. I was on a hiatus. That was a really long one. That was like a good 6 weeks. I was still feeling a lot of anxiety and depression and exhaustion, not taking care of myself. My main focus at that time was just decluttering my world. Besides taking care of my family, I had just stopped doing everything. And the only thing that mattered at that time was getting clear on what the hell was going on inside me. Question number 2. What were my pain points? So your pain points are any area of your life that you're having difficulties. Anything that was really troubling you at the time, any obstacles you are facing, any hurdles you're trying to get over, just anything that is causing you discomfort or pain or sadness that needed to be addressed. For me, at the beginning of the year, my main pain points were not having enough time alone, not having enough time to myself to figure out what was going on, which was why, again, as I said, I quit my job and I was cutting things out of my life to create more space. I was also dealing with some really, really high anxiety levels that I had never experienced before, close to panic attacks at certain moments. Never quite made it to that level, but it was definitely a level that I'd never felt before. It was very new for me. The biggest pain point of my life at the time was just feeling overall completely disconnected from my life, from myself, from my heart, from my spirit, from God, the universe, from nature, from motherhood, just checked out, disconnected. And I believe that was the main cause of all the other problems that I was experiencing. I couldn't pinpoint what was wrong with me. I couldn't hear my own thoughts. I had no meditation practice. I was not exercising. I was not taking care of myself. Just nothing. Just me and Sarah, and this body was just that was my biggest pain point. Question number 3. What was my focus? What was it that you were most focused on in the past 6 months? I know that it may have changed once COVID hit. And that's fine. You can have a lot of different answers for this question. In the beginning, my main focus was just trying to slow down and figure out what's going on, and getting back in touch with myself, getting back in touch with the things that I love to do, just getting back in touch with me. That was my main focus. I was going to do that through singing and dancing and getting reconnected with my art, getting reconnected with my family, getting reconnected with friends, just reconnecting to my life. That was my main focus. And in the beginning of the year, I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but over time that started to reveal itself. So what was your focus? What were the things that you were focused on? Was it your job? Was it your kids? Was it building a business? Was it taking care of your house? Was it your physical health? What were you focusing on in the beginning of this year? Oh, she's back. Question number 4. What have I learned? What has the first half of this year taught you? Mostly about yourself. You can write down some things that you've learned about the world and about other people, but this whole practice is really focused on you. So what have you learned in the first half of the year? This could be lessons about where you really want to go in your life. This could be lessons about areas where you still need some help. This could be lessons about things that you used to do that you don't want to do anymore, things that you used to like that you don't like, things that you didn't like but you do like. What have you learned about yourself during the first half of this year? I learned so much during the first half of this year. The list goes on and on and on, and I could talk about it forever, but for the sake of time, I'm only going to focus on 2 things. I learned 1. I prefer a slow, easy, simple life. I've spent so much of my life the past few years, I want to say 5 years or so, just going, and trying to do everything. Trying to do everything as if I stopped for just a moment, I would fall apart. But this year, when I cut everything out of my life, and especially when COVID hit, and that just took all the rest of the stuff away, I learned how much I really do value moving slowly, living simply, focusing on one thing at a time. And I learned that I don't like that go, busy lifestyle. I can't stand it. For a long time, I thought I needed it. I thought that I craved the chaos, but I don't. Maybe I did. Maybe I did at some point, but now I have learned that no longer works for me. And that has meant the world. That has changed my whole perspective on life, on my own life. The other big thing that I learned is I do have a voice. I have a voice, and I can use that voice to affect change. Even though I have been a singer and performer and do musicals and stuff in the past, I've always been fairly shy when it comes to just speaking my mind, speaking my truth, saying what's on my heart, saying things that I feel need to be said. My whole life, I was shutting my mouth. I was labeled shy. I was labeled timid. I was labeled nice. And so I lived that, I internalized that for a very long time, for pretty much my entire life. But this year has opened me up to the truth that I do have a voice and I do like to use it. I love to use it. I learned that I like to fucking swear. Sorry. Not sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for the shit I say. But I learned that about myself. I love to talk about life, I love to talk about myself, I love to talk about the universe and spirituality and growth and magic and witchy things and consciousness and personal growth. I love talking about these things, and I have learned that at the beginning of this year, this first half of the year, and it is awesome. Yeah. Moving on. The last question of this part, I'm going to just do a part 1 right now because this video is already very long, but we are going to go into a part 2 where we sort of assess where we are at the current moment and look forward. But for now, let's just do one more question in part 1, and then we can close it out and do part 2 next week. So the last question for this mid-year check-in is, what are my wins? You can't look back without congratulating yourself for the wins that you've made. I don't care how small it is. Did you organize your pantry? Hell yeah. My pantry looks like crap, so if you did that, way to go. Did you learn how to bake a pie? Awesome. I've baked pies before, but I am garbage when it comes to putting the crust onto the top of the pie. As many times as I've tried, every time I roll it out and it's super pretty and I try to pick it up to put it on top of the pie, it falls apart. I've never got it right. So if you can do that, you're my hero, and I need you to teach me and help me right now. But yes, any little win that you can think of. Did you call a friend that you haven't called in a very long time? Did you finally speak up about something? Did you change your eating habits? Did you pay off a credit card? I don't know. Whatever it is, write it down. Write down every little thing that you did that you can consider a win in your life. I think we often forget how awesome we are. We forget about how much we have grown, how much we have done, how much we have accomplished. So if you made a choice at any moment to further yourself along, even if that was just, I'm gonna get out of bed and take a shower, even if that was just, I'm gonna get out of bed today, then congratulate yourself. Feel good about yourself. If that's something that is personally difficult for you to do normally, then hell fucking yeah for you. I am proud of you for doing that. I'm proud of you for making a choice for yourself. Write it all down. Look back in the recesses of your mind. 6 months, it's not a long time, but it is a long time, and it's easy to forget. For me, again, this is a big, long list of wins. I have grown so much in these past 6 months, I can't even believe it. I rediscovered my need for dance. I reclaimed my singing. I reclaimed my voice. I started making better choices food-wise. I'm still not perfect. It's something I'm still definitely working on. I still definitely need to focus on my physical health. I've been maintaining a somewhat regular meditation practice. I've reconnected to myself, to my spirit. However, I am going to talk about the biggest win, I think, that I accomplished in this last 6 months, and that is starting this channel. This has been something that has been on my heart for a very long time, and I kept putting it off and kept putting off. You know, imposter syndrome was rearing its ugly head. Who the hell am I to do this? Who's going to want to listen to what I have to say? Nobody wants to sit around and just hear me talk about my sad life. But then I remembered that it wasn't really about whether or not people wanted to listen to me. It was more about the deep down, screaming need to share my story. This has been something that has been on my heart for at least a decade. I've always wanted, something deep inside me has always told me that I need to share my story. And I've been hiding from it for a very long time. And even when I started this channel, I filmed that first episode probably 6 or 7 times over the course of a month. And every time I just told myself, no, it's not ready. No, I'm not ready. No, I'm not ready. And then a few weeks later, I'd try to do it again and delete it, say, no, I'm not ready. But then I did it, and it has honestly been the most healing thing I've ever done. Just the simple act of sitting down in front of this camera and just sharing my life vulnerably and honestly and authentically, it's changed my life. It's brought me more confidence. It has reconnected me to myself. It has connected me with other people who are going through similar things. The messages that I've received from people who were just like, thank you for saying what you said. I never heard it that way. Oh, you said exactly the thing I've been needing to hear. That is worth everything. You know, as much as this whole process has been helping me, the fact that it's helping other people is just, it's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. And I want to continue this. I want to thank all of you for being here and allowing me to spew my heart, to share my feelings, to get teared up on camera, to sing loudly and get messy and try and experiment and figure out exactly what the hell I'm doing with my life. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But that's it for now. That is it for part 1 of the mid-year check-in. I would absolutely love it, if you could share your answers with me. If you want to, it's totally fine if you don't. Just share, even if you just shared one. What's one of your wins? What's one of the things that you learned? What's your biggest lesson from this past 6 months? What's your biggest win from the past 6 months? What is something that you've let go of? I would love to know about it. You can let me know down in the comments below. You could DM me on Instagram if you want to remain more private. That's totally fine. You could share in our Facebook community group. I'm still working on figuring out what I want to do with that group and how I want to use it. But come join us. Let's start a community. Let's start a tribe. Let's help support one another. But yeah, I would love it if you could share some of your wins and your lessons with me. I know this is a very long video and it seems kind of rambly, but I'm just gonna let it be because we're doing things messy. We're flying by the seat of our pants and we're doing it real, we're doing it authentic, and we're doing it raw. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, please hit that little thumbs up, please subscribe, please share it with other people. This helps me get the message out to more people who need to hear it. I want to share, I want to spread the word of self-love and creating your most magical life. I want everybody to live their best fucking life. Anyway, this video is done. The sun is right on top of me. I think it's time to go. Come back next week when we will do part 2 of this mid-year check-in, and we will look at where we are and where we're going, and it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be lovely, and it's going to be fun, I hope. Okay, bye.